you do that one. Or whatever.
And save this one for you, and y'all maybe go outside.
Hey everybody, I'm Lee with Olsen Equine, and we got a very busy day today, but right now, if you saw the video with Kelly Conrado, this is the horse that he was talking about. And so we're gonna check him out here. And we have some x-rays of him, but first I want to show you something. So when we look at this foot, foot's in relatively good shape. No real smoking guns, but when they're saying their horse has a foot problem, these can be your number one friend. So just squeezing around, seeing if you can find any sore spots. Whenever you're talking about a sore-footed horse, a lot of times it's the sole or the heels. But checking the whole foot will help with that. So that foot was good. So now we'll go over here. So now we're going to look at this horse here. And start at the sole. It's got a little movement, you see that? But she's not given to it. So consider that. And then you can see this bar's folded over right here, and then the heel goes forward. You did not see that on the other foot. Anytime the bar's straight, heel's normally in good shape. So with this, I'm already concerned about this. You can see it's blown out here. Doesn't give to it though. Then we come over here, and she gives to that one. So that's the same thing. You can tell it's not in as good a shape. You can pick it out with your fingers. So I know immediately that her heels are not happy on that foot. So with the x-rays that we had, I can show them to you right now. Up. That's the right front. That's the left front. So the left front's in a little better shape. Well, that's the one with better heels. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put flat 3-degree frog pads on, because it does not need a wedge for the palmar angle. We just want to disperse the load across the heels. So the only way to fix a sore heel is to unload it, because a lot of people will put an open heeled wedge on this foot and then they'll get more sore. So that's the last thing I want to do. And this foot isn't very long, so I have two goals today. I want to provide some support to these weak heels, and then I want to not over trim her. And this frog is in pretty good shape, so I'm not going after it at all. I'm just kind of tidying it up. That's about all I want to do. Always checking balance with your opposite hand. And there. Might be able to take a little bit more off, but it's always easier to come back and take a little bit more off than it is to put more foot on. So the shoe we're going with today is the Eventer Plus aluminum, and it's very controversial if aluminum helps with horses, but whenever you're putting pads on, especially a speed horse, the last thing you want to do is add too much bulk. So making room for my clips. I love having side clips on these shoes whenever it's muddy or whenever you're putting a pad on. So we're going to go shape that. First, I'm going to top the foot. So you can see what I mean. This foot doesn't have a lot there, so not trying to do too much to it. Just want to remove any distortion before we start. It's one thing I always like to do is put my rasp on there, and what we want that to be is flat. But you can also over trim the hoof wall by doing that, so you have to be careful with it. So that's pretty close. So we're going to shape our shoe now, and I love shaping shoes hot, love it, but on aluminum you can soften them when you do that, so whenever it's possible I love to do it cold. I shouldn't say love to do it cold, prefer to do it cold. These shoes are so sweet. They want to fit a foot, even with this foot being kind of wonky where it's flip-flopped. The medial is out here and the lateral's in, but it's broken off. So my goal is to put the shoe where the shoe should be. So it's really going to be really hard to nail in here, but by putting the shoe where it should be, I should be able to take the same angle, the same approach with my nail. Just degree of difficulty is a lot higher. So that was just the first time shaping it cold, and I feel like that's pretty close. I think no matter if you're shaping your shoes hot or cold or whatever you're doing, it's a huge advantage to start with a good shoe, and it'll make your life a lot easier. Here's another tip: if you want to take a marker and you mark where your clips go. Now we have a mark on the hoof wall when we come to the front where our clip. A lot of people don't like clips. I feel like clips done right are a huge asset, and when clips don't fit, that's when they say that they take hoof wall off, or whatever they say. Like if you drive nails around it, the nails are going to be the part that pull foot off, not your clip. So, application's a big thing. So that's why steel is so much nicer, because we could have burned that in. So there we go. I like that fit pretty good. So I'm going to marker this. And much like we do with heart bars, one trick to make sure your frog plate is perfect on it, if you mark the center of the frog, which is usually the center of the shoe, but if you get a wonky foot, by putting a line at the tip of the frog, so like right across here, that's a do not pass line, because we want the pressure right on the back part of the frog, which is right here. So that's a tip for putting heart bars on. You never want to go 5/16 of an inch from the apex of the frog, because you don't want any pressure there. You want the pressure back here. And by loading this and unloading the heels, this foot is going to grow out a lot better and hopefully grow out of these pads. So we'll grind it up and we'll get a frog pad on there. So you can see I made this little check here. That's a heel check. And the idea of a heel check is to ultimately mimic the commissures of the frog. So that's the angle it should be at. and sole pressure. So this horse, these shoes are sweet. They already have the sole removed right here for sole pressure. But when you have a horse that's thin-soled like that, putting just a little extra in there like that will prevent the sole from coming down to the shoe. So, just a little bit of insurance right there. So I just double check my fit, and then we'll have one of the guys put a pad on. So you can see it lines up perfectly with the frog, which is not because I did something special. I just markered it right where it goes. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So one thing that's very important is making sure you get your shoes flat like that. So it's pretty much micro leveling, but it's one thing that you don't want to underdo for sure. So we'll get this put on this pad now. The shoe put on, the pad put on the shoe. So there we go. And like I said, it is a flat pad. So we're not trying to change the palmar angle at all. We're trying to build a better heel. So with that, we're going to use Mustad hoof cushion. And this is the soft. This is kind of the secret sauce in the whole thing. The pads get a lot of the credit, but if you don't pack them right underneath, it's all for naught. So one thing that a lot of people don't do is you've got a horse that's sore, right? The last thing you want to do is make a sharp point, whether you're using a pour-in pad or hoof cushion or whatever you're using. But if you put this in the bottom, it'll make a solid flat spot when it sets up, because otherwise it'll conform to that sharp spot. So pretty simple, you just mix two of them together, 50-50 each. Stick it down there, and naturally I used way too much. We're going to use the Endura Combo Slim because it's an amazing nail. Out here where he's missing wall, that's a good chance to use some of this dental impression material to our advantage. So this is the one that's nothing to nail to. So we put our shoe out where it's supposed to go. And the trick is on that is that you have to have the shoe where it's supposed to go. So if you look out here, where that foot's broken up, if I pack it underneath the clip, it'll help me get better contact. There we go. That's the hard part with aluminum, that you can't hot fit your clips. But if you cut them in, tap them. You want to try not to tap them. You can do it on the anvil first, but it's very important to make the horse stand on it because it'll squirt out all the high spots right here. So now I'm good to go with nailing this back on. That's what I was talking about using too much. It's kind of wasteful, but so the thing is with these Endura Combo Slim nails, so they're Endura coated, but they have a bigger head, which is the city head with a slim blade nail. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then you have the Endura coating. It drives nicer, easier, and stronger. So now there's definitely not much hoof wall here, but we don't need hoof wall. We need the white line. So it just adds to a higher degree of difficulty. You can see it came out low right there. So try again. Yep. Okay, so it's diving in the same hole. So what we're going to do is I'm going to angle it up here, and I'm going to try to get it over there. Yeah. All right, last try. So I'm just tapping it. That keeps it in there. And there we go. I did set this shoe back a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that on this horse. My goal was not a perimeter fit. So now this has set up a little bit so I can trim it out. So you can tell it was very soft. Now it's set up. All right, so there we go. All done. So just to summarize, this horse had bad heels on this foot and was good on that foot. Then complaints were that this horse was just a little bit footy, just not really feeling right. So we put the 3D frog support pad on here, but not the wedge, because the angle wasn't that bad. We just needed to fix the heels. So this applies pressure here and across the whole back half of the foot, as you can see. So the comfort mix is a secret sauce in my opinion, and the 3D pads are really nice how it runs up in here, but the toe is open. So this being a very nice barrel horse, now that they can use their toe normally instead of this being completely full. So when they step in the ground, this is staying up on top of the ground and this is sinking in. So now the horse can move how he's supposed to. And this was the Aventer Plus shoe. This is the Aventer. This is aluminum, and we use steel all the time, but whenever you're adding packages to a speed horse, aluminum kind of helps them from getting too bulky. So big fan of that. So, and those are the Combo Slim Endura nails. So we pretty much threw all sorts of cool stuff at him. You look at the side here, and this is where he was broken up here. So comfort mix is nice for that. So the x-rays, going back to those, that's before, and this was the foot that had a problem. As you can tell, it's not bad, but the left front was the better foot of the two, when this foot was just a little lower, and that's because the heel wasn't strong enough to support it. So when we got done, as you can tell, pretty good palmar angle. So very excited about that. And the left front is perfect. So I think that was a win. We do a lot of these 3D pads and we work on a lot of barrel horses. So if you've got sore heels, they're definitely something to consider. I hope you have a great day and God bless America.